It's the 4th day of August 2024. There goes Dana. I'm here somewhere. I'll go backwards this time. Hey, it's I'm 3 years old today. This is our birthday. For dummies. It's pretty amazing. We're crushing the nuclear energy. Absolutely horrified. Somebody has criticized them. It's literally like the end of the world. It's been a long time coming. 3 years of hard work. We had another site with 24,800 subscribers for, what was it, 4 years or something. We never lost a subscriber or gained a new one. But we had 24,800, so that was pretty good. And when I was out looking for spiders, they took that one down. I didn't like that site anyway. It only had 1,600 of these presentations. Only a decade of work. Had the research expeditions and everything else. That's another life. It's the biggest book burning imaginable because the amount of work that goes into these typical videos. So we survived 3 years. Unstoppable contamination of the Pacific Ocean is seriously menacing the U.S. West Coast. And Fukushima is now undeniably a global security issue. It's a global security issue. So the question is, should all the nuclear scientists and academics that remain silent lose their degrees? I think it's a pretty cool idea because they were the ones who were supposed to warn us. They were the ones who were supposed to try to do something. Instead, they all stayed away like cowards. I guess they're smart cowards, but they're still cowards. The lack of a sense of crisis over Fukushima is a stark contrast to the gravity of the crisis. The unstoppable contamination of the Pacific Ocean and the atmosphere. We've never seen our reactors look like that before. They're completely gone. The fuel pools are gone. The reactor cores are gone. But yet nuclear scientists insist that nuclear is never hurt anybody. It's carbon free. The inlets, they just regurgitate a bunch of lies. And I can't just sit in silence. I know everybody else seems to do it, but I can't sit in silence. I know I'm not the best person for this job. I know that because nobody watches my show. But like an idiot, I'm here every day doing the best I can because I don't know how to give up. Malaysia, a fisherman reeling in a shark with webbed feet. Webbed feet. Are sharks supposed to have feet? Anti-nuclear activist, Dr. Helen Caldicott, said during the crisis that if Unit 4 collapsed, Reactor 4, this one right here, if that happens, she was going to move her family from Boston to the southern hemisphere. That's right, that's what she said. And she's done hundreds of interviews where she made an interesting statement about Reactor 4. Now, that's Reactor 4. That's completely gone. That, whatever you want to call that stump there, that should have been razed to the ground. They left it there so people like Helen Caldicott, who wrote 14 anti-nuclear books, the most widely recognized anti-nuclear activist, and she's one of the worst humans you'll ever come across. She's not an anti-nuclear. She's meant to displace people like me and you.
Building 4 is also similarly fragile, and it's got a huge cooling pool on top with all its fuel rods, but they have been removing them. And it's been a very delicate procedure, and they've removed almost all. So if that collapsed now, I think it would probably be okay.
I wish she catch fire. So she's saying if it catches fire, but clearly it caught fire. Clearly it's all gone. And there's no way she didn't know it. And that's what we're up against. We're up against all these degenerate monsters who are very, very well off, incredibly wealthy. Her books are published and shoved everywhere. I got a book I've been trying to publish for about 2 years. I can't get anybody to even look at it. It's unbelievable. And you know how hard I try to do things. But Helen Caldicott, she got 14 books published. And you'll come away a lot stupider if you buy those disgusting propaganda machines. 70% of the children tested are contaminated with radioactive cesium, but like uranium, plutonium don't exist, right? It's absurd that that's what they mostly talk about is the word cesium, which is really dangerous. But I'm worried about the curium, which is the biggest byproduct of the radiated fuel. And all of them from outside the Fukushima prefecture. 70% of the children tested outside the prefecture were contaminated. Helen Caldicott. I think it'll be alright. Rain in Tokyo at 29 million atoms a square meter in the soil. 29 million atoms. So they're supposed to evacuate Tokyo permanently. That's what that means. See? Instead, they're taking the radiation, grinding it up and shipping it to other prefectures and burning it in the incinerators. Hundreds are ill after Fukushima nuclear plant rubble burned in a major Japanese city. Nosebleeds, eyes, throats, skin problems. And the government says radiation levels were low enough to be safe. This is not a government. This is some kind of sadistic monster that would do that. They found plutonium in every sample. Of course they do. The reactors run on uranium plutonium. You never know it, though, for the majority of the headlines. We'll talk about cesium. 13 billion times more neutrons than the initially estimated. An initial estimate was massive. So there's 13 billion times more neutrons. This is... I think all nuclear scientists should be just taken up in a plane and thrown down in reactor 3 at Fukushima. They don't deserve to be on the planet with us. No, I'm not going to kidnap nuclear scientists and rent a fucking plane and fly to Japan and throw them out of the fucking plane. And they know it. But we did have 2 academics took me to court because they said that I wanted to do that to them. But the reality of it is, does anybody really think I'm going to take a couple of fucking scumbags, fly them to Japan and throw them out of a fucking plane on top of reactor 3? And I had gag orders for 3.5 years from those pieces of shit. Disgusting parasites. Everybody's taking a big fucking shit on me, eh? Everybody's fucked me over. Not everybody, but all the industries. The YouTube, Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, every one of them that destroyed me. I'm fighting for them too. Even though I hate their fucking guts, I'm fighting for them too. Forming new uranium compounds likely to travel long distances like carbon buckyballs. Unprecedented phenomenon from using salt water in the Fukushima reactors. Now, what's crazy about this story is that they actually know this. And they went and done it to make it worse. And they didn't warn you or try to come up with solutions so they can make it worse again. Every facet of the story was about how can we make it worse? $200 billion atoms per kilogram in fuel rod material near Tokyo. And the material spread globally and composes a major part of the worst Fukushima plume. Composed a major part of the worst Fukushima plume. Composed a major part, and the plumes, I'll show you some examples. But see, everybody gives up on me, but I don't give up on everybody, and I don't give up on this planet, and I don't give up on trying to provide a future for everybody by having a conversation. I don't know if that's the right words or not, but that's the intention. I know that makes me a horrible fucking person for trying to do something good. I get that. Everybody's taking such a big shit on me. There's so much propaganda and lies about me on the internet, I'm surprised anybody would even come to the show. And that's the nuclear industry. Cowards. They won't challenge me in a real debate. So think about this plume. I'll speed it up for you. And after 30 days, the plume covers the entire planet. And it's 200 trillion atoms per kilogram in the fuel rods. And a plume covering the entire planet. Hang on, let me use the other one. This is the French government's model of radioactive fallout. This model is only based on 16 days after the tsunami. So the whole planet's covered in radioactive fallout within 30 days minimum. And the material spread globally, and we're talking about it composed a major part of the worst Fukushima plume and persist for long times in living organisms. We must consider the disaster's health effects. This model is based on cesium-137 at 1 million to 10 million atoms per cubic meter of air mass from the French government, the actual French government. This is a very important story. June the 30th meeting revealed depleted uranium storage facility had burned after the quake and contained about 1,800 pounds of depleted uranium. And you remember seeing a lot of the media used to show a picture of an oil refinery in Chiba burning? That was the uranium, depleted uranium, the dolram, depleted uranium, low-level radioactive material burning. It's already gone through a chain reaction. It burns extremely hot. University of California Dean, we detected far more than I expected of the sulfur peroxide hydrogen buckyballs. It was an unprecedented increase. A statement to the media, I don't think we'll see anything. The whole planet was covered. You know, I can show you the studies of the whole planet produced. Just dare me, or double dare me, and I'll do it. I'll do it. You know, I don't think you realize. I'll do it. I'm not afraid to do it. You can call in, but you won't, but you could. 709-589-4406. Call in and take a big fucking shit on me. Get it off your chest. Dana, you're a piece of shit. I don't give a fuck. If there was 100 people called into the show, every show, and call me a piece of shit, I'll still be here telling the truth. I won't lash out at you. You can call in, call me a piece of shit if you want to. I'm not going to lash out at you. Get it off your chest. 709-589-4406. To the pro-nuclear community. Come on. Come on. Bring it, baby. Come on. Buck, 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 buck. Chickens, are we? Huh. That's the name you're probably used to. Study finds giant strontium-90 release into a body of water began around 1,000 days after the reactor meltdowns, so just under 3 years. And that the graphic shows a high-level discharge for tens of thousands of days of the strontium-90 in particular. Tens of thousands of days. Give me a random number. in the tens of thousands. Let's see. Where's the chickens? How come they haven't called me and yelled at me? Call in, call me a piece of shit. Get it off your chest, pro-nuclear. Let's say 44,000 days. Or 44,000. That's not 44,000. I know. Just hang on. I can't do everything right the first time. So we divide it by 365 days. You're talking about a 100 to 1 ratio of cesium-137. That's 120 years. A joint strontium release is actually a 100 to 1 ratio of the cesium-137. Remember the cesium-137? 1 million and 10 million atoms? And you're talking about 3 years after the meltdowns, because the meltdowns don't stop producing atoms. Whatever's left, because a lot of it blew up, right? Where's all the brave nuclear academics? How come you're not out there calling me up and shitting on me and telling me how wrong I am? TEPCO executive purposely delayed pumping seawater into the reactor. Yeah. Why would you pump? The only reason they pumped the seawater in the reactor was to trick you, to make you complacent, make you think that they got it under control. The hydrogen peroxide formed by the seawater and the melted fuel and the enormous heat, 9,000 degree Fahrenheit temperatures, are even more likely to react with the elements in the core, and not clear exactly what kind of chemicals were released. Is this why officials ordered a halt to pumping in seawater? I just put a few of these together before we do the show here tonight. We're out today and looking for birds. And I'm still not healthy, but we've got to try to do something, right? And we're up in this forest where there's just falls and stuff like that. Just not a single bird. Seen a wasp, though. That was pretty cool. He landed right on my glasses. He was trying to tell me something. Officials were concerned injecting seawater may cause a sustained chain reaction or recriticality. Well, clearly with the neutrons, 200 trillion times more than they acknowledged was an absurd amount. TEPCO releases a badly altered image of Fukushima Unit 4. Badly altered image. There's nothing left to Unit 4, by the way. Again, this is 2012. TEPCO edits an image of Fukushima Unit 4, still attempting to hide something at the bottom of the building. So what they were trying to do was get you thinking about the bottom instead of the fact that the building was missing. Because the building is actually missing, see? That's what they were up to. There would have been nothing there for you to be concerned about. The idea was to get you to focus on something that didn't matter instead of the fact that the building was missing. Did I mention Reactor 4 is missing? Let me show you what it should look like. It should look like this right here. And this is what's left, is about less than 1/4 of the building, which was 190 feet, 65 meters, 19-story building. Image cropping was attempted by TEPCO in September after getting caught trying to obscure the building's bottom. But there is no building. Look at it. The building is actually missing. There is nothing there that you're concerned about. And yes, there was some Photoshop, but that was the point of it. So instead of thinking about where's the building, you're looking at the bottom of a stump. It's a betrayal, right? How come nuclear scientists ain't calling in and shitting on me? You can call in at 709-589-4406. Take a big shit on Dana, like everybody else fucking does. TEPCO edits the Photoshop image and removes the original. Again, the building doesn't exist. when they stripped it down, there was nothing left. The idea was to get you to look at the bottom of the building instead of the fact that the building doesn't exist. They're not hiding nothing. They're hiding the fact that the building is actually missing. There's about 1,000 fission products released from the nuclear meltdowns. You can't call them reactors anymore. They don't exist anymore. There is no reactors. The reactors are gone. No, Dana, they're not gone. They're up in heaven, Dana, looking down on us. La 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 la. Everybody take a shit on Dana. We fabricated part of the photo. But the idea was to look over here, not over there, right? Inhaling just one hot particle can cause the cancer. So what can a plume with 10 million atoms, 10 million hot particles per cubic meter of air do to the entire planet, I wonder? Right? Airborne radiation near Fukushima stupid plant still far higher than the government's max 2018. Like anywhere in Japan is a nuclear wasteland. They picked up 30 million one-ton bags. They had 150,000 sites like that. Fukushima rice to be exported to France. Oh, they exported it everywhere. You're talking about £1 billion in each prefecture, and there was 14 prefectures that allegedly were banned by 55 countries. They're not no more. Radiation never went away, so why would you take the band off, for goodness sakes? And they never stopped growing it. Degenerates amidst a Fukushima deadly meltdown cover-up. TEPCO degenerate president. We lied about the meltdowns. It was a cover-up. It's unprecedented nuclear disaster. It's an unpardonable breach of trust. No, you stabbed everybody in the back as quick as you could. The buildings are actually gone. Every nuclear scientist. You think there's a single fucking nuclear scientist on the planet that looked at that picture to the left and said reactor 4 fuel pools were at the top of the fucking building and the reactor core was at the top of the building? You really think? Does anybody really think that? How come there's not 1,000 people that are doing what I'm doing? I don't understand it. Should all nuclear scientists lose their degrees for covering up Fukushima nuclear meltdowns? Well, yeah, they should lose their degrees. And then they should be sent to die at Fukushima, shouldn't they? They don't deserve to be on the planet with us. These are monsters. Monitor detects 100,000 sieverts. 3 sieverts is a lethal dose, by the way. Unit 1 and Unit 2 exhaust stacks, where they pump out the splitting atoms from the fuel pools, at dose rates of 10 sieverts per hour, but the Geiger counter is going to measure 10 sieverts per hour. So how can you work at a nuclear meltdown when you can't work at the fucking stacks far away from the meltdowns? How does that work, I wonder? It's a stupid industry. The reactor site is engulfed by steam, or something like steam. What, like, to put the word steam there when they know bloody well these are lethal doses. If you're in the steam, you died. Work to remove the rubble was suspended 2013. This is just a stupid industry of stupid people. The pro-nuclear are just stupid. Incredible educations. Unbelievable. But these are stupid, worthless humans. They're not really humans, are they? They look like us, but we don't see any of the human attributes at all. So the so-called steam coming out of the ground at 4.7 sieverts an hour, and 20% more than June. This is a lethal dose for any human. Except for the morons. Like, you get these people that like going exploring abandoned places, and there's all kinds of them goes to Fukushima. And if you do that, you got to shave your head right away when you leave there. You got to throw all your clothing away immediately, your shoes, everything's got to get thrown away. Like you're so contaminated, it's hard to comprehend because you can't see it or smell it or hear it or feel it or taste it or touch it or perceive it, but you were making a fatal mistake. Radiation from Japan reactors affecting the food in the nearby farms. This is March 19, 2011. Higher than normal levels of radiation discovered in products. Well, first off, there shouldn't be any radiation in the products, let alone higher than normal. There is no normal level in your fucking food. Of farms, which lie in the vicinity of the crippled, like calling these facilities that are completely destroyed, crippled. I think anybody used that should have their legs sawed off and one of their hands sawed off. Put them out on a fucking street corner and let them beg for the rest of their lives. These are degenerates. We can't have a future, see? Because nuclear industry is on the same planet as us. Now you got shithead Israel. Idiot Israel. Moron. What a fucking stupid place that is. And if Iran's going to attack Israel, what the fuck are they waiting for? They're going to wait for the 9 battleships from the United States to show up first? Does that make any sense? If you're going to go after them, you needed to go after them yesterday. I think everything's staged, right, like that. And then Israel says they're going to use neutron bombs. So they'll use that now to cover up Fukushima fallout, right? This comes as a change in the weather patterns expected to spread radiation. I can barely... there's zero possibility you want to put me in the same room with the people that wrote these stories. There's a plume. Like, how? What do you mean does the wind change? Like, it's about 20 days of wind. The whole planet's starting to be covered in radioactive fallout. Throughout communities located inland from the disease factory. Government officials from Japan have found high levels of radiation in spinach and milk produced by farms, and further contamination of the food supply is possible over the coming weeks as the winds that have been steering radiation offshore, like the winds weren't blowing radiation offshore. It's such a despicable occupations, the nuclear industry and journalism. Journalism doesn't exist. It's there strictly just to make it impossible for you or your loved ones to have a future. We got to create journalists. We got to. There is no such thing as a fucking journalist out there. But that's what we need. We need journalists, but we can't find any. All we can find is degenerate monsters. Comparing this Nuclear Energy Institute, comparing Fukushima and Chernobyl, October 2019. Both the 2011 accident at Fukushima Daiichi nuclear energy facility in Japan and the Chernobyl required countermeasures to protect the public. There is not a single fucking countermeasure that can protect you from man-made anthropogenic radioactive plumes. There is none. If there is, give me a call and tell me what it is. I like to fucking hear it. 709-589-4406. Give me a call and tell me what this countermeasure is. Because I don't know of anything that will work. Only a big fucking bunker on the other side of the planet. Stay down there for about 1 million years and come back. So now they start talking about cause? The government's response? The government? What government? This mob of morons? This mob of fucking cowards? This useless fucking mob? According to the International Atomic Energy Agency, there was less total atmospheric releases of radioactivity from 4 nuclear meltdowns and 8 fuel pools that burnt off than from Chernobyl, which was a graphite reactor and was brand new. Can you wrap your fucking minds around that? Like, what's going on? That's the Nuclear Energy Institute, and here they are, blatant fucking lies. Of the worst type of lies, too. To suggest that Fukushima's 4 nuclear meltdowns and 8 fuel pools, each fuel pool got around 8 reactor cores or 4 reactor cores into it. Each reactor core is pure uranium, pure plutonium, probably equal to 100 Chernobyls for each one. And they're saying that Chernobyl is worse. These are people that should be locked up for the rest of their natural life or disposed of at Fukushima, preferably the latter. In Chernobyl, the release started with a nuclear criticality accident which triggered an in-core steam explosion, causing an intensive ejection of the overheated core materials and extensive burning of the graphite and reactor materials over a long period of time. The release was not confined because the type of reactor did not have a containment like U.S. reactors. As a result of radioactivity, a direct open path to the environment enhanced by entrailment in the smoke from the burning graphite. At Fukushima, there was no explosions of the cores. Let me see, there's no explosions of the cores. Well, where the fuck are they then? And they never put their name on these articles. But that's, if the Nuclear Energy Institute, not if, but because the Nuclear Energy Institute is writing articles that are referred to through the media worldwide, claiming there was no explosions within the cores. How do you reconcile that kind of betrayal? You can call in at 709, did I mention that? At 589-4406. Tell me how stupid I am. Rather, progressive heating, oxidization, and meltdown of the cores occurred over a much longer period of time. And so the radioactive products were thus released from the core much more gradually at Fukushima, with some of the radioactive material confined by the containment structures were partly retaining the radioactivity. Like, what are you talking about? The buildings are actually friggin' destroyed. That's reactor 4 behind me. Also, the plant suppression pool provided scrubbing or cleaning of the radioactive products that reduced the atmospheric releases at Fukushima. Well, like, what are you talking about? There's nothing left of the buildings. La 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 la. The Japanese government moved rapidly to implement protective measures, evacuating people. This is simply not true. They didn't evacuate people, and they weren't halting food shipments from the areas. They were telling the farmers to mix it with food that wasn't as radioactive. The government also distributed potassium iodines to residents. I got no evidence of it whatsoever. And just even if you did, it's not going to prevent the thyroids from absorbing radiation. Should all nuclear scientists lose their degrees and fingers and toes for covering up Fukushima nuclear meltdowns? I think all nuclear scientists, we should like create this creature that bites the nipples off nuclear scientists. That'd be the first punishment. And then when that heals up, we'll throw them in Fukushima with the homeless. Nuclear scientists are one of the worst, most scariest creatures on the planet is a nuclear scientist. It's certainly one of the most evil criminals in history. We've never seen anything. I can't really tell you of something more evil than a nuclear scientist. Can you? Do you know something more evil than a nuclear scientist? You give me a call, 709-589-4406. I'm sure everybody would love to hear it. No deaths from the radiation exposure were attributed to the accident at Fukushima. What the fuck are you talking about? Separate studies published in 2013 by United Nations World Health Organization concluded there was minimal adverse side effects. Really? No one died at Fukushima because of Fukushima. Telling a lie is just so natural. When it's all you know how to do is tell a lie, then it seems natural. But they're the worst animals, the worst monsters we've ever heard tell of is a nuclear scientist, and a journalist, of course. It's hard to appreciate how much I fucking hate journalists. I despise every journalist. I just despise them. And I mean that literally and figuratively, that I fucking despise these people. Well, they look like people. I don't see any evidence that they're people, but... So, extreme increase in mortality by cardiac diseases in Fukushima. The death rates might give the creeps to some people. Should have got a street there where 7 people dropped dead in the first year. This is just after the first year. Death rates might give the creeps to some people. Death by heart attacks increased by 12.5%. And actually 12,700 people died of heart attacks. 14.2% of all the children born across the country per 100,000 need open heart surgeries. It's an explosion of children being born, males being born one testicle. Such evil people, eh? Such immoral. At Chernobyl, 28 highly exposed workers died within 4 months of the accident. 600 helicopter pilots died and crew. 600. Why are these people... Why is this industry like no other industry? Why is it... Every facet of it is based on how evil can a person actually be. Why is it that this industry is so evil? La 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 la. Let me see what we got here. My God. Bear with me. All the helicopter pilots died.
And you know well at Chernobyl, the helicopter pilots that came in and that deposited the heavy materials to try to put down that fire, which was a very different kind of event than what we're looking at now. But still, there were helicopters, and the pilots all died from radiation exposure.
It was heroism.
During this operation, 600 pilots are fatally contaminated with radiation. All of them will die. But their efforts only buy a few days. Although it has been covered over, the fire still isn't out.
So how many lies can an industry tell and still be considered an industry? This industry tells lies on a rate and a scale that's unparalleled to anything else. The Nuclear Energy Institute, by the way, is a leading U.S. policy technical organization dedicated to all aspects of commercial nuclear industry. With our members' support, we actively shape policies and regulations that promote carbon-free nuclear energy. Like, how can you call nuclear carbon-free? How does that work? There was another video showed up there the weekend on carbon. And let me bring that up. This is a biology experiment about using the parts per million to grow in a contained environment to grow plants, and then tripling it. I think it is. I'll get it out of the way. They do a better job of explaining it. There's no audio, so I'll pretend I'm a homeless Fukushima employee dying in the background. And I'm just kidding you. Pretend I'm a nuclear scientist who went to Fukushima. Oh my God, we gotta get out of here immediately. There's radiation everywhere. 180% increase in atmospheric CO2. Time-lapse video day 3. The one to the right with the most CO2 is growing like crazy. Stem height at harvest was 52%. Look at this at day 5. Oh my, if we don't get rid of the carbon, then we're all going to die. Life thrives. The more carbon you got, the more life you got. The more healthy it is, the more thicker the trees and the stems of the plants and everything else is. The root lengths are longer and able to extract. Oh, carbon looks so fucking scary. Look at the plant to the right, all that carbon. Oh my God, it's terrifying. Radioactive fallout is what's causing global warming and climate change. 80 years of perpetual emissions, and the radiation is pulsing energy almost at the speed of light every second. Day 28. And so, 9% increase for leaves. %44 increase with more carbon. A wonderful plant life. What a crime against humanity that's going to be. So the enhancement is incredible, isn't it? The roots, the thickness, the leaves, the foliage. And then if it was growing fruit, you would see the same application, the same attributes, rather. So, well, there's another video that goes with that, actually. We get that one out. One of these videos, not like the other. Oh, that's not what I'm looking for. Hang on. I better turn the audio on, I think, for this one. Audio activated.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Panelists, let me just go right down the line real fast. What percent of our atmosphere is CO2? Take your best guess. You don't have to be accurate. All down the line.
Repeat that question.
What percent of our atmosphere is CO2, carbon dioxide? Wild guess, it's okay.
I'll buy 5%.
5?
I'll just follow you then.
We'll go 7. That's my favorite number.
I'll see their 5 and suggest that we know that transportation causes 49% of CO2, so that's why we're all working on energy transition.
All right. So what number do you think it is?
5.
5? How about you? I didn't hear you, Mr. Dreyer.
7.
7. Did you have one, Mr. Boyd?
So we got a 5, 7,
This price is right.
8. I'm going to get the high end.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, and I don't mean to put you on ice. I ask a lot of people that because all we hear is climate change, CO2, CO2. I heard a couple of you on the panel saying you're looking to change your vehicles to electric, even though we don't have the electric grid. And me as a farmer, I wouldn't be real happy about running out and replacing $300,000, $500,000, $1 million pieces of equipment because someone wants it to be electric. The answer is 0.04%. Not 1%, not a half of a percent. It's 0.04%, and it's gone up from 0.03 over the last couple decades. This is what we're being all contorted into doing, is this tiny change in CO2. If we get below 0.02, plant life starts dying off.
And if you increase it, then plants will grow like crazy, right? Just bear with me. I gotta set the audio back a little bit for the audio for those clips and that. Carbon-free nuclear energy in the United States and globally. So they just love nuclear globally. Anything that kills everything is their friend, apparently. Their members include national laboratories, the enemy of humanity, by the way, and universities. The absolute enemy of humanity are universities, which is a frightening statement, isn't it? Powering our clean energy future, the Nuclear Energy Institute. Truly the worst humans conceivable is the Nuclear Energy Institute. And Unclear and IRPA and the IPRC and the rest of them. Since the establishment of the United Nations Scientific Committee on the Effects of Atomic Radiation by the General Assembly of a corporation that doesn't have any sovereignty over any country worldwide. It can't impose fines or penalties or jail. It's a company like McDonald's. It can't do nothing to you. But what it did do was, it's like the World Economic Forum, where it co-opted your politicians and government, and it has weaponized that against you. It's surreal that this is even able to happen. This is the norm, though, is evil. Evil is normal. And they've taken all these key positions in increments over many decades, particularly the nuclear industry. Once the nuclear industry was understood, right, then Secrecy Act was invoked, like the Manhattan Project, for instance, and they had tens of thousands of spies spying on the spies that were spying on the spies that were spying on the nuclear scientists. And they never ever gave up those jobs or that monitoring. Total corruption. Exposure to ionizing radiation arising from naturally occurring sources like from outer space and radon gases. So why would you invoke that? That's something you're already acclimated, and all the species are through genetic superior selection, right? They were established in 1955, and they have made sure we can't have a future. The Fukushima Daiichi accident. The following states are members of the International Atomic Energy Agency. They got countries there that are so impoverished they can't take care of their own citizens, but they're throwing money at the International Atomic Energy Agency every year. It's surreal that this exists. And when you start looking at all of these countries, you realize these are countries that would have sold you out. And they've been corrupted since 1956. Financial assistance for the International Atomic Energy Agency was provided by Canada, Japan, Russia, the United Kingdom, United States, from Argentina, Australia, Belarus, Brazil, China, Cuba, the Czech Republic, Finland, France, Germany, Ghana, Iceland, India, Indonesia, Israel, Italy, Japan, Republic of Korea, Malaysia, Mexico, Morocco, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Pakistan. So they got all the money they could hope to be evil. And all they got to do is be evil with it. And the country, not a single country has said, that's not what we gave your money for. Every nuclear scientist is out there cutting your fucking throat every day. And you let them do it. Why? Because you didn't know it was happening, right? The United Nations is beyond all of your issues. It's shocking, really. But then you see them in movies, you see them in Hollywood, you see them in your universities and schools and all kinds of disasters, right? They're put on a pedestal, and all the media will turn to the United Nations to see what they say before they open their fucking mouths. How can you have a future like that? Because I can guarantee you can't. Japan may boost grain imports after the earthquake. That was March the 13th when they already had multiple nuclear detonations. Is the biggest corn buyer may increase grain imports to guaranteed food supply after the nation's strongest earthquake on record. Japan says the second blast is possible at the plant and radiation falls. So how does radiation go down when you have a massive blast? Japan's first half, this was a couple of days ago, so the first half of 2024, food exports fall for the first time in 4 years. The latest result reflected China's import ban on Japanese fishery products since last summer in response to the discharges of tritium containing treated water. So when you hear the word tritium, I want you to look at these pictures and tell me how come all the other radioactive isotopes are not included. You can't filter this stuff out. What a stupid. Did I mention stupid? I wasn't trying to, but let me see. Let's go back to the poll for a second. You got 11 people on the show, and I got 27 votes. 10 people on the show, I got 27 votes. Should all nuclear scientists lose their degrees for covering up Fukushima nuclear meltdowns? Should all nuclear scientists lose their degrees for covering up Fukushima nuclear meltdown? Should all nuclear scientists lose their degrees? I really like that poll, to tell you the truth. I think they should lose their lives and should be sacrificed at Hanford or Fukushima or other places like that. Work them until they drop dead, right? Get rid of these people. They're a curse on humanity. At least sterilize them so they can't have children. If you do got children, take them away, raise them up, and send them to work on Fukushima and Hanford and places like that. We don't want that gene pool on our planet no more. Japan's January-June farm fisheries exports fall for the first time in 4 years. They've been poisoning the world at an accelerated rate post-Fukushima. They were shipped radioactive food to other prefectures, relabeled it, and sent it to your country. Scallop exports to the United States and Vietnam grew as the Japanese government helped producers find new markets. And overall exports to China and Hong Kong were down. Shipments to other countries and areas rose 14.3%, supported by higher demand not only in retail but the restaurant industries. Restaurant. So you can't even go to a restaurant worldwide without being poisoned. The weakening of the yen also contributed to the stronger demand by making Japanese products comparatively cheaper overseas. The weakening of the yen also contributed to the stronger demand by making Japanese products comparatively cheaper. So getting plates of disease is cheaper. That's the reason. By country, the United States was the biggest buyer, up 19.5%. It's shocking. Hong Kong ranked second. Hong Kong is such a piece of shit, eh? By items, exports of seasoning soared 21.9% to 29.8 billion yen as the popularity of Japanese radioactive food grew, particularly in Europe and the United States. Exports of beef, chicken, rice, and apples hit record highs since comparable data became available in 2002, while green tea saw a 36% jump in exports. Evil, degenerate, despicable, disgusting, stupid, fucking stupid nuclear. Hong Kong bans Fukushima products, but they're the second biggest importer. So they put out stories like this in Hong Kong to make them feel safe, and then they're the second biggest importer of food from the nuclear wasteland. The world is just ran on evil. Explosion at Japan's nuclear plant the 12th of March. That's an interesting picture because you don't see many pictures like that anymore because those reactors all blew up, right? There's been an explosion at the Japanese-hit nuclear plant of Fukushima with several workers reported injured inside, and that the Japanese government confirmed shortly after 9:30 a.m. there had been a radiation leak after an explosion. The roof, at the time of reactor 1, the roof is reported to be blown off the plant, one of the biggest in the world. The fuel pool blew up, not the roof. Japanese Nuclear and Industry Safety Energy told reporters it was venting radioactive vapors to relieve that pressure, but it blew up. First off, the tsunami came through and took all the power supply away for 1,200 miles. There wasn't a telephone pole left standing for 1,200 miles. So how the hell did they have power to do anything? They didn't. And once the first reactor 4 fuel pool detonated and tossed reactor cores all over that part of Fukushima itself, then you don't go back there. You can't go back. There's lethal doses everywhere. And most of the models are based on vapors, not even based on some of the inventories, not even based on one of the nuclear meltdowns. And for years, they used to call it a melt. One of the reactors had a melt. And leaked. Let me bring up a picture of reactor 1 because I mean, it picked up 30 million one-ton bags. Everybody's out there thinking that this doesn't deserve enormous amount of attention. because it's hard to comprehend what you're looking at, right? Oh, Dana, there's no panels on the walls or something. They can't comprehend the enormity of what we're talking about. But that was a meltdown. That was the reactor core melting down in the fuel pools. The explosion is caused by the hydrogen is caused by the zirconium cladding catching fire. The only way that's going to happen is because the water disappeared. It's just 100% meltdown. Reactors are in trouble, had already leaked 1,000 times normal inside the control room. I mean, and this is like the 12th, was it, of March? Hang on here. Yeah, I think the 12th of March. Building's blowing up, and they're like, I got a little leak there. We're now trying to analyze what's beyond the explosion, said that. And Yukio Idano is one of the worst humans conceivable. He never slept for the first 72 hours. He's done hundreds of interviews, and he told everybody there is no radioactive emissions whatsoever. Everything is under control. And an official of the Japanese Nuclear Safety Commission said that even if there was a meltdown, it wouldn't affect people 6 miles away. It affected everybody worldwide, and every insect, and every bird, and every animal, and every mammal. There's nothing spared.
Jet streams are also real, and they take 3 days. Jet stream.
A new fire breaks out. The crisis hit. This is the 15th of March. A nuclear power station. At the number 4 reactor. Well, let's have a look at reactor 4. The fuel pool blew up and caught fire, right? Well, the media sees it different. They're like, no, nothing happened. Dana's a liar.
My understanding is on top of what used to be reactor building number 4. The whole of this building was blown apart by a huge explosion.
We are here inside Reactor 4 at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant that was severely crippled during the earthquake and tsunami of 2011.
Of the decommissioning work taking place here in Reactor 4.
At the end of our tour, we were checked for radiation exposure. In 4 hours, I received the equivalent of less than a chest x-ray.
1,500 highly radioactive fuel rods inside this pool. They've got to move them outside of this reactor.
How many people think they're at the top of the building? Raise your hand. I can see you from here. Earlier, fire broke out the reactor's fuel storage pool. Well, they said there's nothing wrong. They're at the fuel pool. They say they're at the top of a building to the left, 140 feet above the stump to your left. How can we sit in silence while this is happening? A massive tsunami devastates Japan. Massive waves are sweeping across the Pacific, some cases higher than some of the islands they're expected to strike in the next few hours. And in the last few minutes, emergency was declared at the Japanese nuclear power station nearest to the quake's epicenter. Officials declared a state of emergency after the cooling system at the plant in Fukushima failed. And reports say the nuclear disease factory is on fire. Chief Cabinet Secretary, I cut your throat, Yukio Idano, the worst human conceivable, said there was no radiation leak. Wow, man, it's just... The 12th of March, radiation leak. An explosion at a nuclear power station on the 12th destroyed a building housing the reactor, but the radiation leak was decreasing despite fears of a meltdown from damage. Idano said the radiation around the disaster had not risen since the blast, but in fact it decreased. He did not say why that was so. It's legal to hang people in Japan. Japan should hang that despicable piece of shit. Came a huge cloud that enveloped the entire facility. A cloud. A cloud of what? Oh, radiation, Dana. Don't worry though, Dana. It's like a banana. After the explosions, the walls of the building crumbled, leaving only a skeleton metal frame. We have confirmed the walls of the buildings were what exploded. The walls don't explode, dear Idano, you piece of shit. It was the fuel pool, 8 reactor cores detonating. Britain and America to withdraw rescue teams from Japan the 17th of March. Some European airports began testing passengers returning from Japan for radioactivity. They were actually the smart ones. They were the informed ones. They were the educated ones. Yeah. The efforts to cool the reactors came as U.S. officials warned of a shortage of water and a storage pool meant to stop nuclear fuel rods from overheating. Britain and America to withdraw, and that's the 17th. A shortage of water in the storage pool meant to stop the nuclear fuel rods from overheating. On the 17th, everything was already blown up and gone. That was the 17th, right? Yeah, 17th. So everything was already blown up and gone. And here comes the lies. Police say 452,000 people staying in schools and other shelters. So how many others? Not everybody was staying in schools and shelters. Lots of people had relatives across the country, right? So what, 1 million people evacuated? The 15th of March, new fire breaks out at a crisis-hit nuclear disease factory. Number 4 unit at the Fukushima Daiichi, the 15th of March. Earlier, fire broke out in the reactor's fuel storage pools. Arnie Gunnarsson says the storage fuel pools are intact. I put him up there where the fuel pool is too, right? He used to make the racks for the fuel assemblies for the fuel pools.
The division I ran built nuclear fuel racks for boiling water reactors exactly
what a
like
disgusting, despicable, horrific, mass-murdering serial killer, sick, demented, twisted, sadistic, evil creature he is. La 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 la. 16th of March. Last night, the Japanese engineers were fighting to contain a growing nuclear crisis. Radiation reached harmful levels, leading Japan's Prime Minister Kan to urge 140,000 people near the plant to seal themselves indoors. So the worst thing you can do is stay in a nuclear radioactive fallout zone. You got to breathe air. You got to drink water. How are you going to avoid the radiation? By sealing fucking doors. English teacher from Australia. We have been warned there could be a radiation leak. Anything with the word leak into it, they'll repeat it. A teacher from Darlington lived 70 miles from the nuclear disease factories. Said, the Japanese government, what are you quoting these fucking people for? Is very optimistic, continually reassuring us that things are under control, that they had fires and explosions. So it's difficult to see how under control that really is. This is an industry that the world needs to fight back against. Oh my, do you ever need to fight back against? Like the pro-nuclear community, this is Raphael Grossi. That's what he does for a hobby. Let you figure it out on your own. It's not only just going into the oceans, it's the aerosols covers the entire planet, right? I mean, they're not pretending they're in a building that don't exist because they're bored. They're doing it because they don't want you to know where you're getting heart problems, liver problems, and lung problems, and respiratory and pituitary and thyroid and adrenaline and Alzheimer's and dementia, the autism, the Down syndrome, the schizophrenia from. They don't want you. They don't want you to comprehend the enormity of what's going on. I mean, is there a nuclear scientist on the planet? I'm not trying to be mean now, but is there a nuclear scientist on the planet that looked at that reactor 3 and didn't know the fuel pools in the reactor cores were gone? This is why I have a poll asking a simple question. Should all nuclear scientists lose their degrees for covering up the Fukushima nuclear meltdown? They all should have come out and warned us. They all should have been trying to come up with solutions. Not one of them done it. It was the complete opposite. We have plumes that covered the entire planet in numbers we've never even heard tell of before. Makes Chernobyl look like an apple pie, for fuck's sakes. These numbers are not a game. And on top of it, it's an extinction event. Fukushima is an actual extinction event. And we went out, boots on the ground, year after year, for many months at a time. We were coming home, and the species to your left are missing. Doesn't this scream emergency? Doesn't this scream hello? Hi, how are you? Anything? What you doing, eh? Doesn't this concern us? Shouldn't this concern us that all the species are gone? I know I went out there year after year after year after year after year because the radioactive fallout actually happened. It's documented. It's not a maybe, not perhaps, it's not almost. This is screaming as loud as we can for everybody that we are in real trouble, that we really need to bring this to the... We got to have a conversation about this. And what did they do? They grew food in 14 prefectures, were banned by 55 countries, and just put a different label on it and then shipped it to your country. So everybody's sick worldwide. Everybody's sick worldwide. We have went to war so you can have a conversation, so you might have a future. But if you don't get educated and also, have interventions and make a noise about this, whose fault is it? I've only been here educating people since it happened, but that doesn't... We haven't got a single fucking non-nuclear blogger on the planet that has breached this subject. Unless, if they did, they regurgitated the United Nations narrative, which is 1 billion times propaganda. I'm not doing this because it's fun and it's easy. And I'm not doing it because I'm so fucking healthy. It's hard to comprehend how difficult every day is for me. I'm recovering from a serious injury, and I don't know how long it's going to take to recover. I don't know if I will recover from it. I have the urge to go do work, but I can't. It's the stupidest thing I'll do, and I'll regret it. And so will everybody else. I think that pretending this is not an issue, and pretending that you're immune to radioactive fallout, and pretending that this never happened, and pretending that this is going to fucking fix itself, is not going to impact you or your loved ones, is a fatal fucking mistake. It's a fatal mistake, right? The species are gone to your left. They never came back. We went back for 6 years, and the species didn't return. If that's not important, what the fuck is? Football, soccer, hockey? Get your priorities right, because this is an event Get your shit in order because you're running out of time, because you're not fighting back, you're not coming up with solutions. This can only end badly because we won't take it serious. We've been denied the opportunity to have a conversation. The censorship on me is just stunning, eh? So coward to censor me over a topic that affects the censors too and their loved ones. So they can get a paycheck, they're going to censor the shit out of me. It's very disappointing to say the least, right? Every nuclear power plant out there is surrounded by farms as far as you can see. How do you think that's going to work out for you down the road and your loved ones? When you go to the supermarket, you have to be terrified your food came from one of these farms that are surrounding a nuclear power plant. Why is all nuclear power plants surrounded by farms when you have endless studies saying this is the worst thing you can do? Why is this allowed to happen? It's the whole story is you got all these studies saying this is the worst thing you can do. Every study showed the same thing, that the food will suck up the radiation. So why is every nuclear power plant surrounded by farms? When we know the food sucks up the radiation. There's millions and millions and millions of studies that confirm that's what happens, right? I mean, like, they're growing food right in Japan right alongside of 1 ton bags of radiation. How is that even conceivable? Why isn't that a major concern of everybody that's seen this? I'm asking questions that you need to ask yourselves because there really isn't anything more important than going after this stupid, sadistic, demonic industry known as nuclear. How can there be anything more important? None of us can survive without food or water, and they're attacking both of it for 80 years. And we can do something about it. We can put an end to this. We won't even try. And then we're suppressed by morons, real-life morons, who make a living censoring people at YouTube and everywhere else. Can you imagine how friggin' evil you gotta be to censor someone like me? Can you wrap your mind around that statement? I mean, like, I got, 23 people on my show, which is amazing, actually. That's the most I've had on my show in the last week at the one time. That's not censorship at all, is it? And prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Why is every farm surrounded by farms? I'm not doing this because of the fun. I'm not doing this because it's easier. I'm doing this because I was born to do this. I was born to come out and fight and educate the population. Fight for the population, educate the population. Doomsday-like radiation of a fire in the pool at Unit 4. That's Unit 4. The fuel pool was 140 feet above it. It would be a global catastrophe. Doomsday-like radiation release. Doomsday-like. Oh, it's worse than that. That's all I got in me tonight. I woke up with a pain in the stomach this morning. Still got it tonight. It's not like a bad pain, but it's. You notice it all day, eh? Maybe we should all write thank you cards and send them to Seth Dorn at CBS and Rupert Winfield Hayes at BBC or ABC Cecilia Vega and CNN, Nana, and the rest of the, thank them for making us not worry about it. Yeah, they lied and covered it up and everything, but if they didn't do that, we'd all be worried about it. We might actually came up with solutions if they didn't do that, right? All these there's many other journalists that done the same thing, pretending they're in a building that actually doesn't even exist. It's frightening. It's frightening that people like that, ABC's Cecilia Vega is now in the White House Press Club with CBS. And she makes, her take-home pay is almost $1 million a year. She has all expenses paid. She has a big budget for clothes and transportation and all kinds of other stuff. She lives the life of royalty. And she cuts your throat, every one of you. She done it willingly and on purpose. Mama, don't raise your children to be journalists or nuclear scientists. They'll throw everything away and call themselves heroes. Alrighty, I'm still not feeling top notch. I mean, the Alp system wasn't even built in 2013 or 2015. It still wasn't finished. You can't filter water from a nuclear meltdown. It simply can't be done. Technology doesn't exist, right? Because the filters are so radioactive. Should all nuclear scientists lose their degree for covering up the Fukushima nuclear meltdown? I think they should. I don't think being a good person and being honest is a bad attribute. I know it is, but I don't think it is, personally. I don't think fighting for this wonderful planet, the only one we got no other options. I think somebody needs to do it, right? And I know I'm not the best person for the job. I'm very angry. Very fucking angry. I've been at this forever. Literally very little support. We raised $25 from Kevin G. Thank you, Kevin. That's the first we raised in 16 days. Running on empty, and I'm not even at the end of the month. I don't know how the fuck I'm going to survive next month. But we're going to keep trying. And keep fighting. We got the moral high ground. And nothing else. And that might be enough, you never know, so. See everybody tomorrow night. Have a great night and a great day tomorrow. Hugs for everybody. Thank you, everybody, for finding time, the energy, and the courage to find us and say hi. Hope you have a great day. See everybody on the next show. Take care, folks.